Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Fight Mania. We are live on our YouTube channel, exclusively brought to you by IBM Podcasts. And check us out for a lot more content on ibmpodcast.com. We are formerly known as the Fighting Goat, but now we have changed our avatar because the pause has happened. And it's been raining heavily every day, so it's time. But before we come back with the jokes and introductions, my name is Arjun with Somesh, the superhuman camera. We're going to take a quick commercial break and we will bring you the meat and all the might of the fighting world. Welcome back.
Mystic Chips, what a wide range of shows out here, man. And out of all these good, Gyani shows of IT and journalism and food, somehow we are fitting in.
Yeah, of course, man. There's always, you see, but for every book, there is every fact, there is also fiction, So, which is where we come in with a combination of fact and fiction. That being said, we missed our last week's show sadly because I was traveling and we just couldn't do it. So my apologies for that one. But we've got a monster pack show. We've got a new segment for you guys. It's called Unpopular Opinions. And it's not an unknown concept, unpopular opinions. Unpopular opinions exist everywhere. So we're going to come back to that in a little while, where Somesh Kamra and I will start fighting a little bit on the show today, hopefully. Because we have always have similar opinions. But today, no, my friends.
But maybe that's why we have been kept separately, Like you're in your house, I'm here in the studio.
Correct. So it makes sense and all. Because there's a backlog. 1 year ago, we started this bet, we're not allowed to legally bet because we are affiliated with the UFC. We do a show with Sony. Mr. Kamara represents Indian fighters for the UFC. Right. So we can't directly bet. But we started this thing on the side where we talk about we just pick up picks and all that. And I said the winner gets to punch the other winner. But
I'm leading, right?
No. You are losing by a triple-digit margin. Like, it's so bad. And you know what? You're taking advantage of my niceness. Okay? It's not Remember how we did that on the show?
Oh my God. That was fantastic. But there's so much to catch up on. In fact, the hottest topic that is floating around is of my favorite fighter, Sean O Malley. And his...
we're starting with Sean O Malley. Mr. Kamran, before we start with Sean O Malley, I know it's a long topic, but I just have to inform that the 2028 Olympics that are happening in Los Angeles have cancelled boxing and weightlifting.
Yes.
For 2028 amidst corruption and rumors.
Yes.
Can you imagine?
Yes. In fact, it has been cancelled. 2028 Los Angeles Olympics will not have boxing and weightlifting due to favoritism and corruption amongst authorities at the lowest level, all up to the highest level.
Dude, remember I went a couple of weeks back for that boxing event in Dubai.
Yes.
And there was a very big issue that came out. I completely forgot to talk about this.
Yeah.
So the commission that was hired to do all the boxing, that was hired to regulate the boxing. So usually a country commission is hired that provides the judges, the timekeepers, the referees, and all these. So they hired the Kazaki commission to manage the fights. And during a fight with a Kazaki fighter, nobody noticed this. The referee didn't sign off on it. The judges didn't see it. The timekeeper didn't. Nobody saw this. A camera picked it up, and one of the promoters picked it up. The fighter from Kazakhstan was wearing 4-ounce gloves, and his opponent was wearing 10-ounce gloves.
Oh, really?
4 to 6 ounce gloves. There was a big difference in the size of the glove. And normally when you sign off, Somesh, you also have seen this probably in the UFC,
right?
Where they sign the gloves, where the commission has to sign off on the gloves,
right?
After the taping,
right?
There was no sign, there was no taping, there was nothing, and the only thing linking the two is that the fighter was Kazaki and the commission was Kazaki.
Oh my God! These things really make such an impactful difference, or I would say a negative impact on the entire arena of boxing.
It's illegal.
Because
it's illegal. It's homicide.
Way back when commissions could be bribed, they used to put things inside the glove. So they used to put these metal pieces. They used to sometimes put stones. They used to put stones, and they used to have wrapping over and above that. And that's why when you see any MMA fight, the first thing the referee checks or the commission checks is that they press this part and they see if anything has been put inside. you know.
Right,
And
correct.
I mean, that part was so overlooked, and it's so sad that these things happen even till today. And maybe that's why boxing has been cancelled.
I think so. And I think, see, this is also the kind of stuff that casts a bad shadow on the sport.
It does.
This is why boxing started getting unpopular after a while.
Yes.
It lost its steam after the 80s. So it's sad. It's sad that this has happened. But I guess the show continues. Maybe one day MMA will be picked up. But Somesh Kamra, why don't you take us through the news of the week?
Oh my God. The fight week that just went by, UFC 276, was an absolute banger. And for the first time, in fact, we saw Pedro Munhoz take on Sean O Malley, which was supposed to be
I knew
his first real test. And yeah, it was stopped as a no contest because there was an accidental eye poke. And Pedro
I
Munhoz,
don't agree with this.
Pedro Munhoz
at
could
all.
not continue. So it happened in the second round. And Pedro Munhoz was saying he eye poked me twice and the ref didn't see it. But apparently, Mystic Chips has a different version of it. And Mystic Chips, can you tell us more about your version?
It's so sad and it sucks that I'm not in the studio, because had I been in the studio, I'm working with the producers. Our producer, Surohini, she does helps us out a lot with, all our back end content.
Yeah.
And sadly, we don't have the clip for you. But if you see in round one, when they were fighting from the 2-minute 50 mark to the 2-minute mark in the round,
Yeah.
Sean O Malley lands a right hook, and the right hook hits Munhoz on his left eye. You can see the knuckle hitting the open eye.
Okay.
And it was clean. The shot was clean. And ever since that point, he was rubbing his eye. The next strike O'Malley threw was a shot to the body, which he said that went low. He took that time. Instead of a lot of fighters, they check their guard and that. This guy was in the corner, rubbing his eye. And then when the poke came, you saw that eye poke, and you saw the judges, you saw the referees. Everybody said it was not bad. And that was to the right eye, not the left. So do you realize something that's happening here? I mean, I'm never going to say, look, dude.
So what are you trying to intend here? You're trying to say something.
I'm trying to say something, but it has to be understood by everybody what I'm trying to say.
So are you suggesting that Munhoz has kind of not gone ahead with the fight and he's taken the easier route out of Sean O Malley?
See, I know it's going to be a harsh thing to say, but we've seen fighters who have taken the easy way out. I mean, Donald Cerrone also agreed to it. Remember when Donald Cerrone said he fought Conor McGregor?
Right.
He knew after the first shoulder shot.
I think we have the video for that one. So just in case you guys want to see it, we have the video of the Sean O Malley.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
That's amazing. So if you see here, I think this is the time. You see his left. Okay, this is before. Okay. Now, this is the eye poke that happened.
Right. You see, it kind of goes in both eyes. It's almost in both eyes.
But it's not gone in. But you see his left eye, it's already swollen. It's already been damaged.
Very true.
But he comes in with that already pink, damaged.
Sean O Malley comes in with that pink nail paint also, so you never know how much of that
I know.
Inside.
See, look, dude, you hate him for very different reasons. So I can't really tell you.
But that was an eye poke, there was an eye poke. I'm not saying the damage was intense, but...
Correct. But it's certainly not enough to call a draw. I'm sorry. It's see, this is where the rules come in and become a little thing. Like, remember you spoke about this the last time around, that maybe it's time for these close draws that happen due to accidental pokes or groin shots or illegal shots.
Right.
I think can be reviewed by a third umpire, like in cricket.
Right.
So let the fight be finished at the moment. Let the fight be finished. But maybe, in like a 3-day time period, somebody comes and says, can overturn that draw. And then say, okay, we won't call it a draw. Let's count points till that point. Let's just see the judges' scorecards till that point, like in boxing.
True. But what happens is that in any combat sport, it's based on split-second decisions. Like in cricket, you may be able to do it. But, it's like saying you need a third umpire for an F1 race, where even the split second makes a difference. And I think at some level, it takes away the charm of the entire sport. And
I agree.
Sometimes you need to take advantage of these loopholes, and that's exactly what happens. I'm not saying, that Pedro Munhoz took the way out. But honestly, I feel Sean O Malley is a very, very tough competitor. He's an extremely tough guy because, people have said, target his legs and he'll be out. But he took some vicious leg kicks and he was still there.
This is the beauty of fighting,
Yeah.
You stay stagnant or you grow.
Absolutely.
And you can see he's learning from his mistakes.
Yes.
And he's taking his time. But Mr. Kama has issues with other things of his lifestyle.
Nah, not at all. Not at all. What I have issues with was that Robbie Lawler was on the prelim card, and thankfully he got pulled on to the main event of the evening. Robbie Lawler, very, very sadly,
you mean the first fight of the card? No, not main event. Main event was the title fight.
Yeah, as in he was on the main card. So So Robbie Lawler taking on Brian Barbena. He got TKO'd. Alex Pereira showed what he was made of versus Sean Strickland.
Okay, now say prediction time. Mystic Ball has called it.
No, come on.
Sean Strickland, man. But you know what? I got to give it to Sean Strickland.
Yeah,
he is the last of the dying breed of fighters.
Yes,
in that sense.
Yes.
You know, if you see guys like Charles Oliveira, Charles Oliveira, despite being a champion, doesn't fight safe.
Yes.
You see that he comes in like one maniac.
Yes,
he's coming in full steam. He gets dropped at least 3 times in a fight.
Yeah.
Every fight.
But I guess that's one of his keys to victory. That if you don't drop me, then you're not going to kind of face.
How do you come to my guard?
Yeah.
How do I come to my guard?
You have to drop.
And it's the same thing with Strickland. You know, Strickland had a strategy of look, somebody like Sean Strickland had definite advantage in the grappling. He's a much better wrestler than Pereira. He's a much better grappler than Pereira. But he chose to fight Pereira at his strength.
True.
He wanted to fight him at his strength, and that is, in my book, called old school freaking badassery.
Correct.
To come at somebody in their strength, like Krokop. People used to kickbox with Krokop, remember?
Right.
And I think regardless of the outcome, people are like, oh my God, Sean Strickland has fallen. I'm like, anybody can get caught by a world-class kickboxer, boss.
Right.
Even the champion got caught.
I mean, absolutely. But what was really, really fabulous from that event was Alexander Volkanovski, who put up a master clinic versus the so-called pound-for-pound best fighter in the division, Max Holloway.
Mm-hmm. I know. I'm not saying anything.
Yeah, I mean, he put on a masterclass. He absolutely blew him out on all segments. 50-45.
He shut everybody up.
He
shut everybody up.
50-45 was an absolute clinic.
He's shut everybody up now. There's nothing more to say because there's nothing to critique here.
But you know what happened in that fight, according to me, is that it just showed how better Alexander Volkanovski became after those 2 fights with Max Holloway. It was not even close. Max may have upped his game, but Alex was 2 levels above that. And, it was better than his previous 2 fights. I mean, 3-0, I think this rivalry ends right here. It never should happen again. He's the clear winner in this segment at least. And let's see what the future holds. Volkanovski is saying he wants to go up and possibly face Charles Oliveira. That's going to be very, very interesting. And look at Volkanovski. I mean, if you just look at this fighter physically, he's the shorter guy. He's the guy with lesser reach. He's not as quick. He's not as strong. His grappling is not
fast, dude.
He showed us how fast he can actually be, but at the same time, he's not the most imposing character out there.
Yeah, he's not Francis Ngannou looking or like a Czech Congo.
Absolutely.
You looked at Czech Congo and got scared,
Absolutely.
You look at Czech Congo and you're like, holy shit.
He showed why he's the number 1 out there. And I think 21 or 22 fight winning streak. So he's really, put all the critiques as at rest.
See, the thing is herein lies the problem. This was the same thing we saw with Mighty Mouse Demetrius Johnson.
Yes.
Mighty Mouse kept racking up the wins. Do you know something that a lot of people don't know? That Mighty Mouse defended his belt 10 times.
Yes.
Before losing and leaving the division. And that was to Henry Cejudo in the second fight. And it's the same situation where Alexander Volkanovski's inability to sell a ticket that's
more of a marketing perspective. I would talk about him as a fighter.
It's like remember when Dana White spoke about Tyron Woodley.
Yes.
Tyron Woodley, he said after the Wonder Boy fight or some fight which was lackluster,
Yes.
He drove the fighter to a decision.
Wonder Boy, yes.
He said
there was a Wonder Boy fight.
Wonder Boy fight, right?
Yeah.
And he said, does anybody want to watch? Is anybody going to pay $70 to watch Tyron Woodley in a main event?
Maybe
I'm not saying
maybe for Sultan, but
see, we are hardcore fans.
Yeah.
I love Volkanovski's style. See, the thing is that styles make fights.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're facing Max Holloway, who's one of the best boxers in that division.
Right.
So it is a strategy. It is a chess match that you have to play. You're not going to come in there. You're not fighting some, from somebody from some second B grade organization. You're
True.
fighting the number one contender who's been the number one contender and a former champion for the last 5 years.
Very true.
So it's not going to be an easy fight. And it's not like Max is not easy to knock out, dude. You can hit him. Poirier at lightweight had trouble hitting him.
Correct. In fact, that's one of the things that Joe Rogan was saying. Is his chin is so underrated. People don't realize that this guy has not been knocked out clean ever.
Dude, he's not been knocked down
ever.
I've not even seen him in trouble. Like the one time we saw him a little in trouble was against Poirier.
Yes.
And
yes.
he recovered in like 1 second.
And that was at a division 1 level up.
Correct, heavier, and Poirier to anyway is a huge lightweight.
Right, Poirier has
very big lightweight.
has knocked out like Justin Gaethje also. So we know what power he holds.
It's one of those situations where, see, the thing is now that it's the same thing we were talking about with Israel Adesanya as well. Adesanya won his fight.
Yes. In the main event of the evening, UFC 276, Israel Adesanya beats Jared Cannonier in a unanimous decision, 49-46 across the board. One judge.
But second, hang on, who gave Jared a round?
Two of them gave him a round. There was only one judge that said 50-45.
Who gave which round? I think the third, where he landed some shots against the fence. I remember that one.
Yes.
If you talk about Israel Adesanya, and you can get some of the pictures of Jared Cannonier and Israel Adesanya up right now. Thank you so much. You look at Izzy. If you look at his frame, his structure, he's built. It's looked like he was created in a lab.
Yes.
He's got muscle in all the right areas. His legs are scrawny. His chest, his core, and his arms are big. They're solid. I've met this guy. He's tall. He's lanky. He looks like he was built for fighting.
Yes.
And because of his movement, the way he moves, the way he strikes, the way he dodges, evades, and his vision and his eyesight is incredible. He's in his absolute prime, where he can't miss something coming at him.
Right.
Now, the criticism that is coming to him after this fight is that he's not. Tell me something. Okay, Somesh. Now, chalo. Do you feel that champions should take chances?
See, that is an excellent discussion, but what I've been told right now is that we will be coming back after a short break and discussing unpopular and popular opinions, where fighters should take risks or not take risks. So we will be back after this short commercial break. See you on the other side. Welcome back after the short commercial break.
No, after that short commercial break, but I'm still going back to that question. Before we get to unpopular opinions and all the and actually the main thing that we wanted to talk about in one of the hot news of the day.
Yeah.
But tell me something. So the criticism is coming for that camp now. It's remember what happened to Greg Jackson back in early 2010, 2011, 2012.
Right.
Where everybody was, in their camp was becoming, GSP had become just was decisioning people. Dominant victories, yes, 50-45 straight, but decision. Do you think it's the strategy of the camp that is coming out here? Because Volkanovski and Israel Adesanya are from the same camp.
Well, so to be honest, if you ask me, no. The answer is no. Alexander Volkanovski, who is the champ at 145 division, still puts up that brave front, and his fighting style is to move forward. So if you see all the three fights with Max Holloway, in fact, coming down to the latest one, he was always pushing forward. He was always the aggressor. He was always doing things.
Even with Zombie.
On the flip side, if you see someone like an Israel Adesanya, you need to bring the fight to him to see any action. Somebody like Kelvin Gastelum got the fight to him. But, someone like a Yoel Romero, the Yoel Romero fight was extremely boring.
Let's not talk about that.
Even though both the fighters have the capability to be explosive, I think the kind of fighter Israel Adesanya is he's more defensive in nature. Unless and until you bring the fight to him. Robert Whittaker got the fight to him.
Correct. But I think against Cannonier, we saw him being a lot more aggressive than his last fight. We saw him taking steps forward. We saw him reaching out. His jab was magic this time.
But also because
he couldn't continue with those jabs.
I truly believe that happened because Cannonier was also getting the fight to him. And maybe...
Yes, he was in his face.
Adesanya didn't want to wrestle him. So he was just kind of getting this jab, and his jabs really started working post the third round. The first
Dude,
two
he
rounds was
couldn't
still,
wrestle
he
him.
was,
Dude, it's Adesanya's takedown defense is so underrated. It is so criminally underrated.
it is. But Jared Cannonier is a whole new animal. I mean, remember, he's come down
but he
from
couldn't take him down.
heavyweight. He's come down from
Yeah, but he
heavyweight.
couldn't take him down.
He couldn't because he was still scared of, those knees coming in, those uppercuts, and
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. No, that's the thing. That's
Correct.
where the Dagestanis are different. They're
Correct.
ready to take the knee coming in.
Correct. But the point
They're
we're
ready
trying to
to take
prove
the
here,
uppercut.
the point that we're trying to prove here is you need to get the fight to Adesanya for him to show his magic. In fact, if you ask me,
I agree.
I'm an old school guy. I like the Volkanovski style of fighting where you kind of bring the fight, you move forward, even if you get hurt. Now, even with Brian Ortega, there was that nasty guillotine that was there.
Oh my God.
But he popped out
That
and he
was fight of
continued
the year.
fighting. He continued fighting. Israel
Dude,
Adesanya,
no.
I feel his entrances are right now more glamorous than his fights.
Oh, ho, ho, ho. On that note, yeah, there is some harsh criticism for Adesanya. According to me, I think, look, man, if you're the champ, you got to come after the champ as well. You have to take your chances against the champion. You're not there to pick apart a champion. You're not guys like Matt Serra who swung against GSP and got success. Yes, he got beat badly after that, but he would go down in history for beating one of the greatest technical tactical fighters in the world.
Yes.
Chris Weidman. As much as it hates me to say this, and it pains me because Anderson Silva is the greatest fighter and one of my favorites, he got knocked out by Chris Weidman because Chris Weidman was fearless. He knew he couldn't stand on the outside. He couldn't pick him apart.
So I don't completely agree with that. I feel Anderson Silva was a little cocky in that fight and hence he got caught. Otherwise, if you ask me, I don't think Chris Weidman ever has a chance to beat Anderson Silva when Anderson Silva is Anderson Silva and not the cocky Anderson Silva.
No, I mean, see, look, Anderson's cockiness, his technique to distract you.
True.
His technique to scare you.
True.
So it didn't, but the thing is that, there was always going to be a day where you met a challenger who was not scared. Sonnen was never fell for his tactics.
Right.
And that was the beginning, in that sense.
Right.
But
right.
my point here is that the challengers usually go after the champions as well. And we used to see that.
Yes.
Look at guys like Yuri Prohaska, man. Prohaska went after Glover.
That's a different breed of fighters. There are fighters and there are athletes. 90%.
This is your favorite line, na?
90% of them are athletes. 90% of them are athletes. If you ask me.
But I tell you,
where are the Jose Aldos?
Oh my God! Let's not even. The internet is having a good time doing a discussion between who is the greatest featherweight, and they're putting up stats of Aldo, Volkanovski, and I'm like, listen, all due respect to Volkanovski, no, he's not at Aldo. He's done.
Nobody's an Aldo. To be honest,
Aldo is a legend.
Nobody's an Aldo because he,
nobody's an Aldo.
He got the fight to the opponent. He damaged the opponent. He didn't
WEC days.
He didn't go to decisions. He just went there to bang and kill. So that's crazy. But however, the landscape of the sport has evolved so drastically that now it's this classic balance between selling tickets and putting up a show and winning /
But look at
losing.
Conor, man. Look at Conor. Conor also takes such massive risks. He doesn't care. And speaking of our main topic that we want to talk about today, somebody who takes massive risks is the lightweight champion of the UFC. Should be champion technically. He was stripped of the belt because of discrepancies in weight. But I think that was more of a commission and a weighing scale mistake than actually Charles Oliveira. He, in my mind, he's still the champion because he proved
Absolutely.
And this man, Charles Oliveira, has come out and he's such a sweet guy. He lives in Brazil. He's still stuck to his old roots. Money hasn't really changed him yet.
Right.
As the championship status has not changed him. And if you saw what he's been saying online, that he's now beginning to get irritated with Islam Makhachev and Khabib Nurmagomedov.
Well, who's not getting irritated with them? Who's not? Give me one example. I mean, Khabib is in the Hall of Fame, but Anderson Silva is not. Give me a break. Come on.
Yeah,
that's not fair. That's not fair. Khabib, who talks about all this respect and all of that in his 29-0 career, and the moment he retires, he just kind of chilled for a week, 10 days, and then he was boom at it. Ring girls not good. This not good. Dana White not good. And then Dana White came up with his own statement saying Khabib was dodging Tony for the longest time.
Yeah, I'm.
So
It's
pretty much, there's dirt on both sides, but you either show it or you don't show it. It's not that you protect yourself at some level because you're competing and all of that, and then
right.
once you're
Right.
out of it, you completely change your colors. And that's exactly why Conor used to say what he said. And that's not a wrong thing.
True. But the thing is what Charles has said, Charles, the way he's talking, we already know Charles is crazy. There was a time where Charles was losing, and then something switched on in his brain.
Or something switched off in his brain.
Or something switched off in his brain, or he stopped thinking altogether. The man has dude, the guy is technically blind.
Yeah.
And he fights blind in the cage. He can see two of the people, and he just says, I punch in the middle.
Oh no, he can see three of the people, he said.
He said he can see three. And he punches the person in the middle. And this is this is the champ that we're talking about. And he's incredibly effective because he's just so dangerous in every area now.
Right.
His striking is improved so much. And he's been calling out. He's like, you know what? I don't give a shit whether I have to face you, Khabib, or to face Islam Makhachev. He's like, I know I may not submit him. I may not knock him out. But I know in my blood that I will beat him. And when somebody like Charles Oliveira is saying this, he knows that he's in for Islam Makhachev is a very tough opponent.
Just look at
he's going to be.
Just look at this kind of range of fighters that are just in the 155-pound division, man. You've got Charles Oliveira
Conor,
out there.
You can't put Conor in this. 5 years ago, yes, Conor definitely. Conor now is there for the marquee fights now.
Right. But he's still there. He's still there. And
he's around. But have you seen his tweets from last night? I have to read it out after this. I will read it out. His drunken tweets, which he's deleted. But coming back to Khabib Nurmagomedov is retired, and he's said so many times that if Charles Oliveira beats his brother Islam Makhachev, he will get out of retirement to face him. And I'm just, and I think if you look at if you see what Oliveira has said, he's right. He's right to be upset. He's like, because you guys are talking shit now. If you're talking complete rubbish, if you're campaigning for a fight with me.
If you remember what Sean Strickland was talking at the press conference for UFC 276. Now, Sean Strickland
that was amazing.
Is an absolute animal / maniac. So he openly said, the UFC are a corporate machine and they are aiming for an Alex Pereira, Israel Adesanya fight, and hence they are fast tracking him because if he beats me, he gets a title shot. But I'm here to spoil the show. Now, Charles Oliveira may not say it, but he knows back end that Islam Makhachev is being fast-tracked. And he's not got past Beneil Dariush, he's not got past any of these big wigs. But
where's the fighters? There's fight against Poirier, Gaethje, Chandler.
None of them. He's not fought any of them.
The top four in the division.
He's not fought any of them.
We're talking about the top four in the division.
And he's going to straight be fast-tracked into the title fight. And sadly, of course, he is no longer the champ, technically on paper. For all of us fans, he is the champ. But so now...
ideally, he's the champ. It's a stupid technicality why he's been stripped. Technically, he's the champ.
Very true.
But it's a sad day where somebody who is a mild-talking, soft-speaking champion, Charles Oliveira doesn't talk shit about anybody. He doesn't say a bad word to anybody.
Sadly.
And for him to come out and speak so passionately, because I saw his Instagram live when he was doing this. It was all in Portuguese, but I had somebody who could help me out to translate it.
Right.
He was saying he was angry. He was literally angry.
Well, see, these situations come out because, when you have a discussion with the UFC, when you talk to Dana White, maybe, Sean Shelby, and they've told you that, listen, I'm sorry, but you'll have to wait and somebody will get fast-tracked. It's just a matter of frustration. You cannot name the person, but that, listen, this is a game plan. They want to sell tickets. They are going to do this, blah, 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 blah. And that's why. And then they get pissed off and they're fighters at the end of the day. They get punched for a living and they beat people for a living. So it's not an easy line to be in. You have to check the marketing side of it and you have to check the performance side of it.
Correct. And I think Charles Oliveira has asked, what he's asking for is absolutely fine. He's like, you want to do the fight? Let's do it in Brazil. Let's do it on home turf. How does it matter where it happens? He's like, you want to sell tickets? We'll sell 60,000 tickets in Brazil.
Yeah, I mean,
that's true.
Yeah, it's not.
Charles Oliveira
will
fill up the stadium.
Absolutely.
He will fill out in Rio de Janeiro or wherever they do it.
Absolutely.
So, that being said, that concludes our hot news of the week. But we got a new segment, which is called Unpopular Opinions. We're going to quickly run through that because our producer is giving us the dagger looks. It's not only Charles Oliveira and Justin Gaethje that can kill. It's also Suroini. SG. We've got unpopular opinions. Now, unpopular opinions can be held by anybody, and but this is just a fun thing to do between us that we decided to do. So, first thing I'm going to first.
Yeah, what are the fans talking to us about? Let us know that. What are the unpopular opinions?
So the fans that has sent us, okay, Volkanovski, as good as he is not the best featherweight. Well, whoever sent that to us, please note that he's the champ for a reason.
Yeah, I mean,
and has maintained the champ status.
Now this question is quite open-ended. So, is he or she saying the best featherweight ever or the best featherweight right now?
No, best featherweight right now. Ever, though, that is a different discussion.
Oh, absolutely, yes. See, in fact, the fact that he is the champ, he has beaten the top-level guys multiple number of times. I don't doubt it that he is the best featherweight at this point of time. The fact that Max Holloway, who's touted to be UFC's blue-eyed boy, has got beaten convincingly thrice. Okay, chalo, convincingly twice.
True.
He's beaten Brian Ortega. He's beaten Korean Zombie. He's kind of cleaned out the division. And of course, having no genetic benefits. He's the shortest guy, doesn't have the best reach,
True.
Is not a wrestler. None of that. He has nothing and he's still the champ.
True. So you don't agree with that unpopular opinion?
Absolutely not. I think he is definitely one of the best featherweights of all time, is what I would say. Because he's making the unnatural things happen. He's in fact showing people that, if you put your heart into this, you are going to succeed. You're going to push your limits and you will get to where you want to be.
So the second and final unpopular opinion, since we're running out of time, is a fan told us that Islam Makhachev is overrated. Now, that is a very unpopular opinion.
So, I mean, I would try and not be biased here, but I would completely agree to that. Because there are... there are some fighters who get tailor-made fights for them to eventually rise up. Now, Islam Makhachev is a great fighter, but
he's a specimen. I mean, look at him, man. He's ridiculous.
If you ask me, yes, he fought. The biggest name he's fought is probably Dan Hooker. And Dan Hooker
on like a 5-day notice.
And Dan
who's
Hooker's
not a grappler also.
Dan Hooker still is not the best out there in this.
And he's not a grappler. Dan Hooker's not a grappler. He's not a wrestler.
Dan Hooker technically may have that number 5 next to his name, so he's ranked number 5 in the world. But still, man, come on. You've got Justin Gaethje, you've got Dariush out there, you've got Chandler out there. I mean, there are so many guys out there who he's just not fought. And I don't know if it's just a Dagestani thing of, negotiating and, finding a replacement for Khabib and stuff like that. So it could just go down that
Ali
route.
Abdulaziz is doing his job, man.
He's absolutely doing his best. And I don't blame him for that. I mean, if you can arm squeeze the UFC for anything, and if they can do it, then why not? See, it's your business. It's your business. Like for me, I have the same opinion about Sean O Malley. Where he's got tailor-made fights for him to climb to the top. But we saw what happened when he went, face-to-face with Chito Vera. So I'm sure that...
I agree.
There will be... Of course, Islam Makhachev is way better than Sean O Malley. I'm not denying the skills whatsoever. Correct. But he's not yet gone through the rough patches.
So saying he's not been tested. He's not been battle-tested properly.
He's not been battle-tested. I would love to see him against a Beneil Dariush, if you ask me.
I would, honestly, even Beneil Dariush now, because of his injury, I don't know when he's coming back. And he's very, I don't know, I think there's something going on in his head because he's not very motivated to come back as well. He's not given
Dustin
a time
Poirier,
frame on his return.
Dustin Poirier.
Gaethje, Poirier, one of these guys.
Chandler's still hanging there, So, I mean...
Chandler is a smart cookie, yeah? And by the way, Chandler is got into an altercation at UFC 276 with the Diamond, Dustin Poirier.
Oh yes, he has.
So we might be looking at a Chandler versus Poirier situation. But
that would be very interesting.
I think Chandler Conor, man.
Yeah, dude. Chandler Conor possibly is the next fight. But if you ask me about at least this unpopular opinion, I think he's getting some tailor-made fights for him. If you're talking about Islam Makhachev, I think it's slightly unfair.
I think I agree with you. I mean, I'm not me as I love wrestling, I love grappling, and I like Khabib forever.
Yeah.
But I'm not a fan of the wrestling heavy attack. in that sense. It's a great skill, and there is, it's the simplest thing you can say is that you don't like the wrestling, learn how to counter wrestle.
Correct.
Do what Chuck Liddell did, defend
Right.
the takedown and strike.
Right.
And that is absolutely true. But as a fan, I don't want to sound like a casual fan, and it's horrible. I'm going to get backlash for this. But it's like guys. I always will love the Shoguns. I will always love the Mark Hunts.
Absolutely.
Who took risks in fights.
Absolutely.
It was not that's what I'm saying. That's why Strickland is one of the last few, who went and fought somebody at their strength.
Well, but speaking
Not
about
their weakness.
strength, we have the next banging event which is coming up this Sunday.
Sir.
Rafael dos Anjos and Hafile Fizzyev in the lightweight division. Have you ever seen a Hafile versus
RDA is
Hafile?
fighting?
Yeah, RDA in the main event of the evening.
Who's he fighting, RDA?
RDA is fighting Hafile Fizzyev.
Rafael Fizzyev.
Yeah.
And wasn't there Calvin Qatar also, I think, fighting?
Calvin Qatar.
No, I don't think I'm mistaken. I'm confusing.
No,
people
it's not.
usually think
It's
that.
not. It's not for this event. It's not for this event. This event is Rafael Fizzyev versus Rafael dos Anjos. So it's technically a Rafael versus Rafael. But we do have Said Nurmagomedov on this event, cousin of Khabib. So, we can't keep these people out because we have got Khabib, who's retired, and we've got Said, and we've got Umar Nurmagomedov.
Yeah.
So all the
I already know how the fight's
going
going to go. Third round decision. 3-round decision.
Yes, absolutely. That could be a case.
30-27.
But
30-27.
But we have Michael Johnson coming back on this card. So, you know what? Very interestingly, we're just going to be picking out the main event of the evening, which is Rafael dos Anjos versus Rafael Fizzyev. How do you see this fight going versus a former champion versus a rising contender? It's coming up this Sunday.
I've got Dos Anjos all day. He's too experienced. He's too technical. He's strong in every area, whether it's grappling, it's jiu-jitsu, it's wrestling, defensive wrestling. He's got great hands. He's got knockout power. He's got championship experience. And that's what counts. When you've got championship experience, you've been in the limelight with the tough fights, you know what it's like to be in the tough situations. So I'm going to give him the edge, but you never know, man. Fizzyev is a rising star.
Oh man, that's crazy. That is, you know what? Just so that I go against you, I'm going to be saying Rafael Fizzyev. Just to add that.
So okay, we're going against each other. But I gotta quickly add this tweet which one of our fans has sent us.
Mm-hmm.
Conor McGregor last night, 11 hours ago, now he's disappeared for 11 hours. He wrote, "F the rest, I'm the best." And then after that, he's writing to Rafael Fizzyev and Tiger Muay Thai saying, "No brother, pal. No bother, pal. Think of me as Tiger Woods with a 12 iron and your nose as the golf ball. And think of me sprinting for it with a running switch kick and F your little bend back. You little bend back, nobody bitch." Oh, you bend over. Wow, that's awesome. Congrats, pal.
Oh,
Tiger Woods, Muay Thai, Dubai. And then after that, he's disappeared.
Oh my God, this guy is something else altogether. But
I mean,
Rafael Fizzyev is a very interesting character. You know, he's 29 years old, born in Kazakhstan, lives in Thailand, trains out of Phuket. So very interesting. Like, we'll see how this goes. So, just to make this exciting, I'm going to go opposite Mystic Chips with Rafael Fizzyev in the main event of the evening. But ladies and gentlemen, this was an exciting episode with Mystic Chips and Superhuman Kamra. We had a great discussion. Thanks for joining us. Please write to us with your unpopular or popular opinions, and do check out the latest merchandise on ivmpodcast.com. We'll see you same time next week only on Fight Mania. Thank you from Arjun aka Mystic Chips and Somesh the Superhuman Kamra.